who are here or who may be watching at home, the summer game code is Purposeful Poems. So wonderful. Without further ado, we are gathered here today to see Nen G Ramirez, who is a Mexican-American poet from Adrian, Michigan. They are an MFA candidate at the University of Minnesota, and their work has appeared in Acentos Review, Split Lip Magazine, Poetry Magazine, and more. They are also co-editor and co-founder of Viscerama Magazine. You'll be hearing selections from their recently published collection of poems, All Women Are Born Wailing, which is available for purchase right outside the door. So how about a round of applause?
Hi, is volume good? Okay. Hi, thank you for the introduction. Thank you for having me. And yeah, I'll just get into it. I'm gonna start by reading the introduction to my book just to give a little bit of background and context. Yeah, so. In 1983, my 11-year-old cousin Laura was sexually assaulted and murdered walking home from a friend's house. She was buried in the cemetery down the street from my childhood home. She was so pretty that the words Miss America were written on her headstone. The women in my family told me and my primas the story about Laura's death like a bedtime story, a legend, a warning against being out alone, against being too visible or too public or too fast. Growing up was always spoken about like a curse in my family. Growing into a Latina body that would be hypersexualized, it was hard to see it as anything but. The curses for the women in my family were abundant. Anxiety, depression, and bipolar disorder runs in our family through genetics. PTSD runs in our family through shared experience. Sexual abuse, physical abuse, discrimination, and poverty. Still, when we are backed into our mind's darkest corners, we are not ill or in need of help. We are Latina. We are our mother's daughters. The internet will tell you it's true. There is an endless stream of content detailing how Latinas are violent, hysterical, melodramatic, fiery, spicy, how dating a Latina is a death sentence, how it takes a certain kind of man to tame a Latina. In this way, we are magnified and minimized, made hypervisible and invisible, made into two-dimensional, irrational creatures that shouldn't be taken seriously. We are reduced to bodies that must be controlled. I started the majority of these poems when I was an undergrad at an overwhelmingly white university. I was furiously unwell, in the throes of an untreated eating disorder and undiagnosed bipolar disorder, trying my hardest to suppress who I was and trying my hardest to pass as a quiet, unemotional, un-Mexican girl, and I was none of those things. I finished most of these poems after realizing the A at the end of Latina does not fit me. This was also after I got help, got medicated, learned to see myself as a person instead of a body, and found things to like about the person I was. It was after Laura's murder, which had gone unsolved for nearly 40 years, was reopened. In 2022, it was concluded that former Deputy Jim Harrison had abducted, sexually assaulted, and killed Laura. By the time of this discovery, Harrison had been dead for 25 years. My idea of what it looked like to be a good girl was long shattered by this point, but Harrison's identification as the murderer made it all that much clearer. Being a good girl was worth nothing in a world that did not see our bodies as capable of holding anything good. To be a good girl, one has to believe in the good guys, and the good guys, the deputies, wanted us dead. I'm tired of carrying all of the blame and the curses and the evil within me. I wrote this book to say that it is not ours to carry. Not mine, not Laura's, not the memory of Laura or the women tucking it into their stories. It never was. This book is a letting go. And then, I'll just start reading some poems. So the first poem in the collection is called Miss America. And it starts with a quote. Quote, "When these southern whites see these pretty Mexican girls, they become excited. They are not used to girls so pretty." End quote. Eyewitness on the Zoot Suit riots. My mom was 16 when her boss's khakis fell to his knees, while he waited with a smile for her in the Domino's freezer to see her scared, waiting to say, "Don't be." He had seen her, thick Selena lips and J-Lo hips. He'd heard about girls like her. My sister was 15 when a rusted pickup followed her all the way home, driver whistling, dreaming out loud of fistfuls of her long dark hair. My cousin was 11 when her body was found, naked and hollow in a ditch. The whole neighborhood sighed, said she was always too pretty. They engraved Miss America into her headstone. This poem is called "I Tell My Abuela I Got My First Period." And she makes me té de canela, teaches me how to leach the bitterness from bark, then soften rust-red water with milk and sugar, turning it the soft, sad pink of overcast sunset. She hands me the steaming cup and says this ache means I get to have daughters who will get to ache too. I gulp it fast and burn my throat and imagine all the daughters inside me boiling away. My mother finds my first blood-stained panties and buys us a bottle of Strawberry Hill, says she's waited so long for me to feel her hurt. Shows me how peroxide bubbles blood from clothes, how pillows smother the sharpest cries, how ice shrinks eyelids swollen shut, says, "Baby, this is what it's all about." And from the fridge takes out a cake with a cursive buttercream bienvenidas. She cuts me a slice and I throw the whole plate away. This next poem is called Piojosa. So in Spanish, piojo means like louse, so piojosa means like a girl with lice, or like lousy. So, piojosa. My abuelito says you aren't really Mexican American until you've had piojos. My mother says you aren't really Mexican American until you can't get rid of piojos. It's hard to forget the sound of a louse, exoskeleton cracking between your thumbnails and gushing its blood/your blood over your palm. You aren't until you bake and melt the synthetic fibers of your favorite sweaters in the dryer, or sleep with a scalp smothered in mayonnaise or olive oil or vinegar, or until you can't tell if you are killing the pests or marinating them to perfection. You aren't really Mexican American until you've given up and love the beast that's sucking you dry. Okay, this poem is called The First Panic Attack. I was 15 when I first said goodbye to this world, then found myself lying naked on the cardiologist's table, breasts slathered in ultrasound blue goo. 15 when I was high for the first time, my stepfather's painkillers dusty in a Ziploc baggie. I cried, "Please, my heart is stuck," in the garbage disposal, deep, rattling around, caught with a fork. It took me 2 months to wrestle it out, shredded, moldy, and tangled with ramen. This one is called Love Song for La Llorona. I have been you, Llorona, in the back of classrooms and sprawled out on the sidewalk, stringy black hair, Sharpie-colored fingernails, and chewed-up hoodie strings crystallized with spit. I am you, Llorona. All women are born wailing, you and I just never stopped. We were meant to curse everything we touched, to cry, where have all the children gone? I lost them too, Llorona. You won't need to steal me in the night. I'll gladly walk with you and call mis hijos, mis hijas, mis hermanas, mis primas, mis amigas, sweet scabby-kneed girls now younger than me. God help us find all we let die. This one is called Before Your Cousin Laura Was a Threat, She Was a Girl. Before she was a poem, she was alive. The story always goes like this. A pretty brown girl exists too much and ends up dead. The good man was, the bad man was, the devil was, the deputy. In most versions of the story, the girl is walking to a home she shouldn't have left. Before these words were mine, they were my mother's, and her mother's, and everyone's mother's, and every version they are sorry. I hope that when you're older, you will understand enough to forgive me. I hope even more that you don't. This one's called My Baby Sister Asks Me What Withdrawal Means, and I don't say. It means I can cry on command because I'm more or less always pressing my back to the door, and also that Lexapro was a good lover that I can no longer afford. It means trying to suppress suicidal fantasies like church coughs. It means day-old tortillas sitting on the stove, fossilizing, body feeling like some freezer-burnt Wednesday, microwaved, bloated, reheated, gooey. It means lucky sweater every day, and ice water meets empty stomach. It means lately I'm all guts. Okay. Yeah. Okay. This one is called In the Produce Aisle, a woman tells me to go back to Mexico, and I. A. Ask her to repeat herself. She says, I said you're a total smoke show. I blush and give her my number. We go out for drinks, frozen margs and pictures of her dog. She ghosts me. B. Ask her to repeat herself. She says, I said go back to Mexico. I thank her for her patience, explain that my hearing is bad. She says, you can't help it. C. Say, I've never been to Mexico, and she recommends this resort in Cancun where the workers treat you like family. She says it's gorgeous this time of year. D. Ask her why she's so angry. We sit and discuss her piece of work boss and messy divorce. Turns out she's a total Monica, and I'm such a Phoebe that she invites me to her crochet club. E. Knock out the bitch's lights and become a crazy Latina meme on Facebook, a debate on Reddit, and a bullet point in the next shooter's manifesto. Okay, Lenny's not here, so we're gonna read, in the cafe, my ex says he doesn't have a type. I know she had a habit of lying in the street, and he fell in love with her in the headlights of a semi-truck that didn't kill her but could have if she decided the game was over. He says she was fucking crazy. I say I used to play the same game, and he says, trust me, you aren't like her. I don't say that I understood the pleasure of wheels rattling my chest and feeling the weak organ that cares jerk awake. He says he doesn't know if he'll ever understand her. I don't talk about my suspicion that she and I lived the same life, origamied ourselves into the same polite shapes to seduce the white boy with clean sneakers and baby fat, because there are as many bland boys looking for manic pixie dream girls as pill-bitter girls looking for someone to miss and eulogize them. I ask, how was the funeral? He says he wouldn't know. He didn't have the tears or the words, so I say, take mine. I've kept them warm. This one is called My Mother is 16 and My Abuela Wonders Why She Hasn't Had to Buy Tampons. When my mother says she can't keep it, she is crazy. When my mother says she loves it, she is crazy. But when she wakes up, drenched in blood, she is quiet, stays in bed all day. My abuela whistles while doing laundry, returns my mother's sheets folded and bleached and says, God works in mysterious ways. I am 18 and my mother wonders why she hasn't had to buy tampons. My period left without a goodbye or a chance for me to say sorry. After years of starving myself prepubescent, what should I have expected besides my body's silent treatment? A maternal passive aggression, an icy withholding. As much as I want to kneel before an open fridge and soften myself with milk and sugar, I am too tired and heavy with this new ache. To who could have been mis Marias, mis Esperanzas, mis Doloritas, I'm sorry, but close the door behind you. Mommy just wants to rest today. I have nothing to spare. Can't bring myself to need or be needed. Okay. This one is in response to a quote from the actress Sofia Vergara, who, in an interview, she's a Colombian actress, and in an interview, she said that, like, in my country, all women are bipolar, and I think it's better that way. And I had a lot of feelings about that. So this poem is called In My Country. The streets are lined with gold-plated hoops, tossed aside the night before. The sea shimmers like glass, shattered from windshields. Here, acrylics only come stilettoed. Mamacitas only come mercurial. In my country, there is no night without 1,000 slashed tires, and there is no morning without deflated women asking you to fill them. Where I'm from, we have no need for sun or moon because women are always burning some cabron shit in some backyard. The women burn and beg to be held, and don't all white boys have a bit of a pyromaniac streak? And don't we make you feel brave? And don't you think it's better that way? Okay, here's a gay one. It's called When I Was 12, I Was a Folklorico Dancer. Which is to say, I learned femininity as performance. I learned Revlon Very Cherry, Blackest Black Mega Liner, Lavender Smoke Shadow and Plumberry Instant Cheekbones, black yarn braid and silk flowers fastened to my scalp and fake gold chandelier earrings that always came out crusted in blood. I learned that being a girl was something to make them see from the back row. And still, I found myself practicing the boy parts in my garage, picturing me on stage in the pants with gold buttons all the way down the legs, how I'd crescent moon my body around my partner. Her sea of skirt crests and curls, I pictured how I'd take her hand, twirl her into my chest, tilt my sombrero to mask a kiss because it's just for us. Our falsies fluttering against each other and lipstick smearing, all of this, ours. Okay. This one is an abecedarian. Which means that it's like the first line. It's like the alphabet, like it's down the page is like A, B, C, alphabet. So yeah. Abecedarian in which La Chillona uses her words. Chillona is Spanish for like crybaby. Abuelo asks me whenever I cry, are you a man or a mouse? But Abuela knows I am neither. I am mother of everything. Of each caterpillar collected in paper cup, of all the baby dandelion heads popped prematurely from each milky-blooded stem neck, I'll funeral each and every one of them. Give a sandbox burial and 10 Hail Marys at least. I'll pray for every innocent and voiceless, soft-souled thing. Just like Abuela and her tortillas swaddled in kitchen towels until they taste like lavender baby wash. Just like each storybook mouse and bunny I kiss goodnight on their watercolor noses. Just like all the pinto beans I sort one by one on the plastic-lined kitchen table. Making a pile for the ugly ones, the shriveled ones. Even my querido dirt clumps and pebbles are special and deserving and reserved for loteria. I am the mother of the whole card. La sirena, el pájaro, la rana, el borracho, and love all of them the same, even if El Valiente doesn't call home so much. And unconditionally. They're allowed to cry. I'd never force them to raise their voice over the music, stand in front of the whole party, apologize when one of their caterpillars falls from cup and blood bursts beneath Tia Jimena's heel. Who doesn't apologize? Never loved that caterpillar, only cries over its mess. Yes, I always answer man, but want to be the mouse. Paper, soft, sipping tea, or muñeca, or her zapatitos, or bottle, or its milk, disappearing when tilted into doll mouth. Thank God it disappears. I've got 2 more left for you. This one is called On After Party Puking. This time there are no scratched throats or bloodied fingernails, just your muscles' rhythmic squeeze, knowing what to do, how to pour out all the ways I've tried to kill you, all that I've flooded you with after keeping you empty for so long. Thank you, body, for handling the dirty work, for letting me be a log bobbing in the waves of necessary motion, letting me doze off passenger side. Thank you for trying to be okay. Even after all the times I've packed a bag, said, I'm running away, you let me stand at the door, knowing I wouldn't, then let me crumble, cry. You said, just let it out, just rest. I don't think I'll ever understand your love for me, a rum-dum brain like a snot-bubbling toddler who throws books from the shelf, throws punches, screams, I hate you, and still, you put everything in its place. Bathe me, tuck me in, leave the door cracked, the hallway light on. And this is the last one I'll read. It's called Before They Were Found, and it's dedicated to V. I don't know how many more times I'll be able to handle the words, she was found. V, we were both born afraid of ditches, the unseen evil hissing in weeds and muck. We'd bike down gravel roads to St. Agnes just to see her headstone. Laura Weezar, 1972 through 1983, Miss America. We'd pray for and to her. Dragged by our hair, our moms taught us about La Llorona, El Cocoy, and the ditch. And still, we both grew up thinking we could outrun our blood, outlive our weeping name. We fell in love easy, snuck out of bedroom windows, rode in drunk boys' cars. He tossed you out with garbage, leaking life. The cops said we found her, like you only existed once they chanced upon your empty body beside the road, abandoned, mosquito-bitten, and collecting sweet dew. You were not brought to light. We've been the light the entire time. Thank you. And now we'll open it up for questions.
Yeah. This is scary because you got to talk to the microphone because it's being live streamed. But don't let that scare you. Y'all got questions. They got answers. I'll stare. I actually have a question. Should I go first?
Yeah.
People write fiction. People write songs. People paint paintings. For you, why poetry?
That's a really good question. I think I first started writing poetry seriously in high school, on the slam poetry team, and I just I don't know, I think that for me, because of that introduction to poetry, it's always felt like a safe place, and it's been synonymous with family and community for me. So whenever I have something that I need to say, that feels the, I don't know, the safest and most welcoming route to do so. I also just, I don't know, I think that with poetry, I've also dabbled in fiction and memoir and stuff, but I think poetry feels the freest for me because I feel like my relationship with poetry is different from my relationship with prose, where poetry I feel allows me to be as weird as I need to be, and that's kind of more, in my mind, it feels more accepted or acceptable for me to be weird and rambling in poetry, and less so when I'm writing prose, there's more expectation of coherence there that feels a little bit difficult for me in the composing process. Thank you for that question.
So you touched on this in one of your poems, but how do you feel about Sofia Vergara saying those things, right? It's so loaded because she is basically, when somebody thinks of a stereotypical Latina, immediately, or at least one of the first things comes to Sofia Vergara because of how many roles that she's had, with the thick accent that she portrays and just how she looks and things like that. How do you feel like she has impacted you with what she said in that interview?
Well, I think for me, I mean, I think it's complicated because I see myself and a lot of the women that I love in a lot of the characters that Sofia Vergara has played, and I think that a lot of I don't know, for me it comes down to a level of privilege that she is rich enough to not have to be impacted by the negative things that come with being perceived as violent and crazy, whereas the women in my family will see her being fiery and outspoken and see that as a source of strength, but then also that they have to deal with the negative aspects of in everyday life of being perceived all the time as violent and unpredictable and untrustworthy. And also the fact that it's, I mean, highly I don't know, fetishized. A lot of the microaggressions that I've received from men have been heavily tied to that sort of, I don't know, that sort of view of Latino women. And yeah, I don't know. It's complicated, I guess, and like that's kind of what I'm trying to say in the poem, and like in the collection, like just wrestling with the crazy Latina stereotype, and yeah, I mean the way that that a lot of Latinas kind of like, I mean, a lot of the like crazy Latina memes that I see shared on Facebook are like from Latinas in my family, and I'm kind of like on one hand like, yeah, but also no, because that's like that's so, yeah, harmful. Yeah, I don't know. It's complicated. And the more that I'm reading these poems and like thinking with it, I'm like, I think that I've got a lot more to write about this and a lot more thinking to do about this still. But yeah, thank you.
Two things, actually. First, could you talk a little bit about your artistic creativity starting in Adrian, Michigan? And second, can you talk about where your creativity is going next?
Yes, I would love to. Yeah, so Adrian was like where I got into slam poetry. And we were like, I found I was very surprised. Like, I say that I'm from Adrian, Michigan, but I'm like from all over Michigan. We moved around a lot, but like Adrian, Michigan is like where I met my current partner and my like best friends to this day and stuff. So like I feel like yeah, like I'm from Adrian, but yeah. When I first started slam poetry at Madison High School in Adrian, I was like on a team with a lot of like Chicanx queer poets who like had a lot in common with me, and it was like the slam poetry competition that we were like preparing for, Louder Than a Bomb. It was like we were doing individual poems and like helping each other with our individual poems and also making collaborative group poems. So yeah, I guess like for me when I think of Adrian, like it feels very much like home creatively. It's a very like Chicanx space, just like very Mexican, and yeah, I mean I think that it gave me the community and the foundation that I needed to branch out. Nadia is like, I met her through slam poetry and she's like still here. So yeah, where it's going next, I just graduated from my MFA program at the University of Minnesota. And my thesis for that was a poetry collection, full length. This is, this is like technically a chapbook. So like this is my first like full length collection that I'm trying to like get ready for publication. It's called To Undo the Undoing right now. And it's kind of about like the same questions of gender and race and ethnicity, but more focused through the lens of anorexia recovery. Like specifically like how my transness and non-binariness and Mexicanness like affected my eating disorder and the treatment that I received from it. And yeah, so that's what I'm working on right now. Thank you.
I have another question. When you were writing these poems, or maybe the more interesting question is, where you are with your creative process now, are you in conversation with any music or movies or books, or what have you been kind of conversing with as you're being creative, and how has that influenced your work?
Yeah, I love that question. So, like poetry-wise, like I think that these poems were very much inspired by Melissa Lozado Oliva, also Jose Olivares, and yeah, I mean, like, this collection is very emo. I think also you can tell with like how much I really love a long title. That like yeah, emo and like Midwest emo music. La Dispute is a huge inspiration, and yeah, Hot Mulligan, but. Movie-wise, I don't know. I mean, I'm very inspired by stories of queer girlhood and girls being weird and gross and loving each other. Yeah.
No, I don't mean to interrupt.
No, I think I'm done.
What advice would you have for somebody who is maybe thinking about sitting down and writing, or wants to pursue creativity in that way? What would you have to say to somebody in that situation?
To try your best to not go into it thinking that you have to do it alone, and to, especially if you're thinking of like, if you want to really dig into some difficult stuff, to like let people in, and to try and remember that you are a person and not just a creator of like art, and to take care of your like social needs also. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. How about another round of applause? And I would be remiss if I did not mention that on the way out, there are copies of All Women Are Born Wailing for sale. And I bet you somebody would sign it for you.
Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much, Jacob, for asking me to do this. And thank you, Ann Arbor District Library, for having me. Thank you.